Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to the course on the entrepreneurial mindset. We will be discussing a very interesting topic today, and that is how will you measure your life? And the question is there a way of measuring your success? Is there a way to measure your performance, your life's journey? And the interesting thing is that this work has been done by a professor from Harvard Business School, a professor from a university which is, you see, at the height of materialism, which promotes businesses, and a professor comes in and says, hey, I have something different to say, and that is how will you measure your life? So we'll try to understand this interesting topic, that how did he come up with this idea. And he wrote this very interesting book, How Will You Measure Your Life? So according to Forbes, this is one of the more powerful books of personal philosophy of the 21st century, and revealing and profound. So we'll try to go dig deeper and see how did Clayton come up with this idea and what was the force behind him. So Clayton is a graduate from the Harvard Business School. He did his MBA. After that, he did jobs and then went into consulting. And then he did his DBA from the same place. And that brought him money and fame and credibility. He became a consultant to a lot of big firms and technology firms. Innovation and technology was his, you see, cup of tea, and he wrote many books. He became a famous author, and some of the books are highlighted at the top. And he had a very good house in Boston. He had 4 sons which grew up. He had a big house. So he had anything, all the things which he dreamed: big bank balance, a house, a position, is famous, and whatever he had. And then one day, in a very strange event happened in his life, which made him think in a very different way. And the event which happened in his life was that one day he had a headache at the age of around 60, like in the late 50s. He had a headache, and that when shown to the doctors, they came to know that there was a brain tumor, and the brain tumor will cause and lead him to death in few months. So that shocking and breaking news was too big for him, because this was the time when he was supposed to enjoy and reflect back and lean back and look at his successes and enjoy with his money, his place and status and being famous. This was a time of enjoyment. But the time to exit had come, and the doctors told him that as time will pass in the next few months, his body will be paralyzed and eventually he will be there no more. And an interesting thing happened in this state of disappointment, in this state of despair. Clayton started reflecting, and then he started praying, oh God, if you are there, tell me the purpose of my life. And that helped him refine and let him think more and more, and the prayer's intensity increased. And as the time of his expected death reached and the tests were carried out, it was found out that the brain tumor had started contracting, and eventually he got spared. So that event, he got well, and his body parts and the movement came back. He had many TED Talks, and then he started reflecting and collecting his thoughts. And this is what he says, that I was diagnosed with cancer and faced the possibility that my life would end sooner. Thankfully, it now looks as I'll be spared. So that gave him important insights into his life, and this is the Forbes magazine cover, the survivor. And now he says that I had a substantial impact. I made a lot of money, I did a lot of consulting, a lot of books, a lot of teaching. And I've seen, but it's interesting to see in this disease that how unimportant that impact is. This is all irrelevant for me as I head towards death. And then based on his reflection, these are the golden words he coined, that the metric by which God will assess my life isn't dollars, but the individual people whose lives I have touched. So based on these reflections, he started thinking and observing, and he says that 900 people come to Harvard every year, and a lot of and after they graduate, after many years, they start coming back as in reunions. And he says the more and more I observed, many of them are unhappy, they're divorced, alienated from their kids. He said, I can guarantee that not a single one of them graduated with this strategy of doing this thing, getting divorced and raising kids. But this is what they did. And why they did that, he said that because the purpose of life was not clear. It was not in front of them. So that led to the writing of this very famous and popular book, How Will You Measure Your Life? The metric by which God will assess my life is not dollars, but the individual people whose life I have touched. He says, do not worry about the level of individual prominence. Worry about the individuals you have helped become better people. So this is an interesting thing, and from a person from the West in the materialistic world and an atheistic world, somebody comes and talks about this. That is something really interesting. And so in this part one of this, How Will You Measure Your Life, we had an overall glimpse and a summary of what is coming up. In part two, we'll be discussing in detail about the journey of research. What were the various theories applied by Clayton to come to this conclusion? And we will see that into detail. And looking forward to a great day. Thank you very much.